All right, I am here with Baratunde Thurston of The Onion.
Yes.
And Baratunde, I'm going to start with a very big question.
Oh.
What do you think is the role of humor in politics today? And what is the reality of the situation versus what do you think the ideal role for humor in politics is?
Wow. I think the role for humor is to provide an alternate perspective on what's really going on. It gives people a different entree into what's happening in the real world. Mostly it makes people laugh. And I think often it provides an escape or another interpretation of kind of real world events. So it's both things. It's both an escape, but it's also a different type of take or analysis on what's actually happening in a way that's more accessible than, say, someone lecturing or a newscaster just talking.
Do you think the role of humor in this election has been different than ones past?
I think there's been more because we have the internet and we have people pushing videos out over things like YouTube. I don't know. It actually has been different too in that it's more real time. So I guess more people are doing it in the same way that more people are doing music. Not all of it's good, but a lot of it is. And I think so it's more real time, more people getting involved in it. But the general involvement I don't think is dramatically different. I mean, since Mark Twain, we've had political satire. And no one has come around this year that's dramatically said, I'm doing something vastly different from back then.
So do you think that politics have become a permanent part of pop culture after this election, or is this a fleeting fad? Are politics fundamentally changed after this election cycle?
Well, it depends on who wins. I think after any election, people are going to lose interest and start paying attention to the things that matter, like sharks and other non-important issues. So folks, once the voting is done, they're going to tune back out. But there may be a more elevated role just because some of these tools keep the conversation alive more. There's more people determining what gets played because there's more players.
So that plays in my last question, which is, you're a fan of sort of using various types of social media to get messages across. How have social networks been used in this election, and do you think they've had an impact? And if so, what kind of impact?
I don't think I have anything funny to say on this, but I do think there is something serious in it in that you've had a broadcast world, a very top-down, one-to-many, and now you have people talking to each other. I think the biggest thing I've noticed is I'm getting a lot more messages, just anecdotally, from my friends who are fans of such and such a politician or a cause than from the television, from the newspaper, or from some campaign or politician. And that seems to be a pretty big difference, not just technology, but kind of where information's coming from.
And lastly, what do you think about the fact that younger generations are now, the mainstream media seems to be saying that a lot of them are getting their news from sources like The Daily Show and The Onion instead of from mainstream media. How do you take on responsibility? Is that something that makes you proud? Just what do you think about that?
I question it, and I think Jon Stewart's talked about this too, and I tend to agree that you can't really get the joke unless you're already informed. So it's not as simple as, people are going to The Onion to get their news or they're going to The Daily Show to get their news. I think they're going to get an explanation of what they've already heard. And maybe coming to Our War for the White House section of The Onion will help them then interpret the New York Times or Fox or CBS a little differently because they've been provided with some commentary or some humor that's different from what they're used to getting. All right.